Perfect. So yeah, thank you everyone so much for coming. And for those of you who were here earlier, Allison might have already told you this, but we're going to start a little bit with resumes and then cover letters. And then Allison's going to give you some more general tips about applying to jobs in general, especially here in Canada. So I am just interested to hear from you quickly in the chat. What makes you interested in this workshop? Maybe you could say, I'm planning to apply for co-op, or maybe you want a summer job, or I'm just curious. For everyone, just quickly tell me in the chat, what makes you interested in this workshop in general? So I kind of know the reasons that people are coming, so that then I can refer to that as I'm sharing how to do different things. Okay, good. So Charlotte says she wants to apply for co-op and part-time jobs. Very good. Okay. How about others? So for those who just joined, the question is, what makes you interested in a workshop like this? Are you planning to apply for a co-op? Are you planning to apply for summer jobs? Part-time jobs, as Charlotte says. Let's hear from everyone. And if you prefer to unmute yourself and speak, that's fine as well. Okay, good. Julian says similar. So co-op and details about part-time jobs, absolutely. And Allison's a great person to talk to you about that, because she just recently did a lot of job searching, and actually even just. Yeah, so that's excellent. Okay, so for everyone else, if you could go ahead and put that in. So Sunny, Yejun, Sabrina, Brooke, what are your reasons that you're interested in? Okay, Sabrina also says co-op. Brooke says co-op too. Excellent. That's good to see lots of people interested in co-op, which would give you really good experience in math. Adrian says co-op and internship. Brilliant. Internships are also great experience. Excellent. Okay, good. So again, co-op says Tom. Okay, good. Okay, yeah. And for Sunny, just knowing something about jobs. Excellent. Good. And seeing Anne's arriving here too. Okay, good. So looks like all of us are on the same page about that. So let's get started. I'm going to briefly share my screen. See if this will work for me. Sorry, just give me 1 second. It's not bringing up the right window, so let me try. What a joy when all of this doesn't work.
Always happens.
Yeah, right? Seriously. Okay, I'm gonna stop that, try again. I have it literally open, it just won't show it as an option for my screen sharing. There we go. Okay. So welcome to this overview of resumes, cover letters, and job search tips. What I'm going to start with is looking at resumes. Allison, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see it properly now? Yeah, okay, good, great. So what I'd like to hear from you, Allison, were we able to do a poll, like a yes, no? Yeah. Brilliant. So we're going to open a poll, and I just want to hear from you. Have you created a resume of your own in the past? Just so I know what people are coming in with. So let me just, sorry, 1 second, launch that poll. Okay, so hopefully you can see a poll now. So give me a yes or a no, depending on whether you have or have not created a resume. Oh, interesting. We have almost half here. Very interesting. Okay, so let's see. 4 of us say yes, and then 5 say no. So for those who said yes, maybe this will be a bit of review, but it's probably a little different for what we're going to be doing today. But please ask me if you're saying, like this is not what I expected, or this is not what I'm used to. So please ask questions about it. All right. So I'm not actually going to make you answer this on a poll, but I just want you to think about it. How many pages do you think you would write for a resume? 1 or 1 to 2, 2 to 3, or more than 3? So I want you to think, then I'm going to tell you the answer, and then I will poll again, just yes or no, to see if you think, oh, okay, we have people answering in the chat. That's great. Okay, some people are saying A for just 1. Some people are saying B, 1 to 2. I see somebody saying 2 to 3. Some people say guessing 3. Okay, good, excellent. I love seeing the guesses. Okay, Anne also guesses 3 or 2 to 3. Okay, great. I love seeing it. So the answer is it's 1 to 2. So let's do an overview of resumes. They are documents that are used to apply to jobs. We're about to look at what those documents look like. They're 1 to 2 pages long. They summarize your skills and experience, and they use bullet points and concise language. So the reason that it's 1 to 2 pages, I'm not sure. Oh, that's going to come later. But the reason that it's 1 to 2 pages is that employers don't spend much time looking at it. So if it's more than 2 pages, then they wouldn't even read the whole thing. So most people try to keep it to just 1 page. If you need to go up to 1.5 or 2, that's okay. But you don't ever want to go above 2, because at that point they will not read it. Even if you have a lot of experience, you just have to choose the most important and fit it all onto the 1 or 2 pages. So what does a resume look like? It's formatted in a way that's very easy to read. There are no long paragraphs of text. So I never, ever would want as an employer to see a paragraph on a resume. Some templates might tell you to write a paragraph, but I highly recommend that you avoid that. Just use bullet points. And I'm going to show you an example of a really nice one soon. So short bullet points and consistent formatting. You will see people using bold on their resume. Not everything bold, because then that would just look difficult to read, but specific parts will be bold, like the name of your position or the subtitle of experience or something like that. And if you use bold, it needs to be consistent the same way, the same use of bold throughout each section. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. Also, alignment is very important. So how you put things on the left or the right. And it's not like an essay where you can just choose left aligned or justified, as some people do. It's not like that. You need to choose and arrange it the way that you need. So I'll show you in a minute how that works. And you'll have clear headings for each section. So just quickly, I know some of you have done resumes already. Give me an example of a heading or a section that you might have on a resume. I already kind of mentioned some of the words that you might put in there, but tell me in the chat, what is an example of a heading that you might put on the resume? So one of the sections. I'll give you a clue that the first section is contact information. You don't actually need a heading for that part, but that's the first section where you have contact. Then what are the other sections do you think that you would put on your resume? Oh, wow, Charlotte. Okay, I can tell you have done resume work already. Good. Experience, skills, awards. Absolutely. Excellent. Okay, Charlotte hit a lot of those already. Good, Brooke. Brooke also mentioned education. Yes. And you could have an overview or a summary as well. Yes. And experience, of course. Wow. Okay. Well, between Charlotte and Brooke, we just basically hit all of them. Very good. So let's look at a sample. So the following sample, I want to say something before I show you. It's an example of a resume for engineering. I know we're in math right now, but I don't have a sample from math right now. So I'm showing from engineering because it's kind of similar in that they're also very technical. Your skills would probably be slightly different, but it shows you still the type of resume that you'd be looking for. And it shows job-specific skills. They looked at a certain job, then they wrote a resume for that specific job. This sample is not a real person's resume. So all of the names and addresses, I just made them up. The experience is based on a real student's experience, but anything that could identify them, even the school they went to, anything like that, is totally changed. So it's not personal. If you ever are given a sample resume in the future, you might have a friend or an upper year say, hey, yeah, you can use this. Just remember, don't post that or share that anywhere because that's people's personal information, like their phone number, their email. It's very personal. So that's why in this sample, I have changed it. The name is different. I made it up. It's not a real phone number, etc. Just so you know that I'm not just giving you somebody's personal information. Okay. So this is the beginning of a resume. I know it looks a little funny on the slide, but I want you to notice several things. It starts with very simple sections with the name at the top, usually in large font and in bold. Then often you put a physical address. Again, this is not a real person's address. I don't think it even exists. I just made it up. And then the university email. If you are applying for co-op, you must use your university email. If it's for another job, you can choose whether to use your personal or university, but university is good because it looks formal and people are impressed with the University of Waterloo, especially since you're in math. Everybody knows that math at University of Waterloo is very good. So I recommend don't use your personal one, especially not if it's at like Hotmail or Yahoo or something that's not very formal. Just use your university email. And then you do actually want to put a phone number, at least if you're here in Canada. If you don't have a Canadian number, then you can ask the Career Center what they suggest, but at least if you have a Canadian number, you should give that. Okay, so it's simple. The contact information is very, very simple. You can put a LinkedIn link here. This sample doesn't have it on here, but you can also put that in your contact information. Or if you have a website of your own that you've made, you can put a link to that as well. So that's the contact, pretty easy. Then there's often a summary of qualifications, and I'm going to be giving you a template that you can use that's exactly like this. This is one of the nicest templates I've seen, and I've seen a ton of different templates that people have used. I think this one works really well. So, oops, sorry. So yeah, in this section, the summary starts with a skill. So analytical and problem-solving skills, and then they briefly say how they developed that. Developed by creating a Lego robot in winter 2020. So I know, okay, they can problem solve, they have analytical skills. And by the way, these are words that came from the job description. And then they briefly tell me how they did that. And if this is an engineering position, it's impressive that they can build a Lego robot. And then mechanical skills, because I'll tell you later that they're applying for a job at a car manufacturing plant. So they want mechanical skills, and they say developed as a mechanical assistant in an auto repair shop for 4 months. Electrical circuit experience, communication and teamwork skills. So you'll notice that there are two types of skills. One is very technical, and the other is more general that you would need in terms of interpersonal, like the communication and teamwork. For every math position, even if you think it's just going to be you on your own, you will always be part of a team. Even if some of your tasks are personal individual tasks, you're still part of a team who has a manager, you probably have colleagues. So they will want you to show that you can work on a team and that you have communication skills. So you could show that you have that through design projects or projects in general that you've done in school, or if you ever worked anywhere like at a restaurant or anything as a part-time job, you can show your teamwork skills and communications as well. All right, so that's the summary. So it starts with skills and then briefly says how each one was developed. I'm going to pause for a second. Any questions about those first two sections? The contact information or the summary of qualifications? Yes. Charlotte, you had a question? I'm just going to see if people are typing. Not sure. Yes. Okay. Do you have to write XXX skill? You mean like how they've written it here, analytical and problem solving skills? Are you asking if they need to use the word skills? Or what part of it are you asking about? Like, is it the use of the word skills or the use of the like other part, the mechanical part or electrical circuit experience? Ah, good question. Yes, excellent question. So in that summary part, you do need to name the skills, but that's the only part of the resume where you're starting with skills. And I'll show you in a minute when we look at the job description. The reason you're starting with the skills is that they will list those same skills in their job description. And so you're trying to make your resume match that job description as much as possible. Of course, you're not copying entire sentences from them, but you're taking keywords. Like if they said, we want somebody who's good at analytical and problem solving, then you're going to put those keywords and put those here and then show how you develop them. Yeah, great question. Thank you, Charlotte. But the thing is, this is a summary. It's like in an article, you have an abstract. Here, this is a short summary. So you put the most important skills and briefly how it's developed. But then later, I'm going to show you soon, is where you just focus on the action. So where you were going with this, Charlotte, I think you were saying, shouldn't I focus on the action? And yes, in the experience section and all of that, you just focus on the action. So it's only the summary part that needs to be quick and brief and show, yes, I match the job description. That's where you start with the skills and then briefly how you develop it. Yeah, excellent question, Charlotte. Thank you. Anybody else have any quick question? You can feel free also to unmute yourself and ask, or ask in the chat. All right, so far I'm not seeing them, but please just put them in the chat as you think of them, and then I can answer in between going over the different sections. The more you guys ask, the better I can explain it, so it's really helpful. Thank you very much to those who've asked. Okay, so then the next part is education. It doesn't always have to go, the first two I showed you, those always go first. So you always put your contact information first, and then the summary is next, because as I said, that is a summary of the rest of what's going on in the rest. So they want to see that first. But then these other ones, the order is not prescribed. Some people put their relevant projects before the general education, etc. But I'll just show you the different sections that you need. So you do need an education section, whether it's the next one or where you put it, doesn't matter as much, where you put the name of the degree that you're going for. So this person is Bachelor of Applied Science in Civil Engineering. And then you say when you expect to get it. So expected and just the month and the year. You don't need an exact date. But yeah, June 2025 is when this person expects to graduate. Then you put the name of the university, the location. If you're applying within Canada, you don't have to say it's in Canada because they know where Ontario is. Maybe if you're applying in a different country, you might state the country too. But most people know that Ontario is in Canada. So University of Waterloo, Waterloo, Ontario. Then under that, if it's your first year in co-op, you also list your high school. So for those of you who studied in Ontario, your degree is called the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. And then you say when you got it, just the month and the year. So this example person got it in June 2019. And then it says the name of the school. This is a real school, but not a real person who went there. And the location and again, the province. And then if you have relevant courses that are related, so either from university or from high school, then you can list those. So this person, for their particular application, the relevant ones were physics, calculus, and environmental sustainability. And then they specified what they learned in some of those that would be useful. Electrical circuits, mechanical motion. They chose that because it's related to their job description. All right, so that's essentially the most important thing. What you're studying, when you'll get it, what you got for your high school, when you got that diploma, relevant courses. And then as you see below here, you want relevant projects. So this person did a Lego EV3 robot, and then they give the name of the course, which was called Design Skills. So this is not the skills you're developing. It was just the name of a course. Then Renison University College, and then the time that they were involved in that. So January to April 2020. And then this is where we get to Charlotte's question. Can you just say what you did? Yes, in these bullet points, you just focus on your actions. So designed and programmed a Lego robot to accomplish multiple missions autonomously with the limit of 3 motors. You want to be very specific about what it was that you did. So this person designed and programmed. I know exactly which skills they used, but they're saying it as an action. Designed, programmed. Then they tell me what it was, a Lego robot. And then they say, what could it do? Accomplish multiple missions autonomously with the limit of 3 motors. So because this is engineering, they're telling me as much as they can about the technical aspects of this robot in just a few words. So in this section, you're always going to start with what kind of word? Tell me in the chat. Designed and programmed. Is that a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? What kind of word did they start with? This is a check to see if people are still awake, right, Allison? So designed, programmed, what is that? Okay, yes. Ooh, thank you, Yejun. That's very specific. Yes, and very important. It's a verb in the past tense. Excellent. Thank you, Serena. Yes, it's a verb. So every bullet point, except for the summary is starting with nouns and adjectives, analytical and problem-solving skills. But if you go down below to relevant projects, and then we're going to get to experience, those are all verbs in the bullet points. So let's go to look to the next part. So here is the second part of their resume. These are other relevant projects, continuing exactly from the last one. So if you see this as the beginning of the resume, this is the overall name called relevant projects. This is the first project. Then I scroll and I get the next part. So they also designed a solar car, a smart lighting design, and they say where it was. So this one was in high school, and they say when they did that. So this one was just in April 2017. And again, they start with verbs: connected, completed, programmed. Excellent. Okay, let me just stop to see a question. Yes, Charlotte. Yes. So in the qualification parts, if I go back to that one, you do show the skill first. So it's always a skill. So either adjective and verb, or experience. So you could say like electrical circuit experience, but it's something with a noun at the beginning, and then you say how it was developed. That's just the short form of getting in the skill and how it was developed. But then when you go into the next section, then you start with a verb. Does that answer your question, Charlotte? Hopefully. Yeah, if you have a follow-up question, feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, yes, and yeah, the more specific you can be, the better, but you want it to be short bullet points. See how none of these have more than 2 lines of text for 1 bullet point. So one of them says connected circuits and assembled hardware to build a car. That way I know exactly what they did. I could literally, in my head, if I'm imagining what they did, I can imagine they were putting the circuits together and they were assembling the hardware to build a car. And then it gives me even more detail. Completed an intelligent car using Arduino and acrylic board. So now I know even what they used to make it. And then they say the outcome that can go straight, avoid obstacles, and track a black line on the ground. That's very good and very specific, so that your reader can really imagine, okay, wow, they made a car that can do all these things by controlling it. And it's a solar car too. So in just a few words, they've given me a lot of detail of what they did. So for you, same, even if it's not a design that you did, whatever you completed, you want to be specific about what you did. So you don't want to just say, helped the manager complete tasks. That's very vague, because what does it mean that you helped? Who knows? Maybe you just brought them coffee and then they did the work. I don't know. So you don't want to use vague words like assisted and helped, but you want to be specific about what you did. So maybe for math, you say solved problems about X, or forecasted. Maybe you did an internship in insurance. I know a lot of you want to go into insurance later on. So maybe you did an internship. So you say forecasted or created models for this. So be very specific about what it was you did. And if there was an outcome, show the outcome as well. But always starting with an action verb. So that's the idea: connected, completed, programmed, solved, forecasted. All of those are action verbs. And more general verbs are like helped, assisted. It's still an action because it's a verb, but it's more vague. So you want a specific, very clear action verb. Okay. Oh, I see, Charlotte. Okay, good question. For that one, if you're talking about skills in computer, then you don't need to say skills. For that one, you can just say proficient in Microsoft Office, Java, Python, C++, that kind of thing. Yeah, so you don't always have to start with skills. Normally you name a skill or experience, but when it comes to IT and the computer things, then you can just say proficient in, and then say the languages or the technologies that you're proficient in. I would put them all in one bullet point. So I would say bullet point, and I would say proficient in, and then I would just list them with commas like you just did, and put them in order of the most important. So don't put Microsoft Office first. Basically, everyone knows that. So put that last, but put your other ones first. So let's say proficient in Java, Python, C++, and Microsoft Office, if you want to put that in. But if you're not proficient in all of them, if you're just good at some but better at others, then you can split them up. Proficient in these, and then basic knowledge of these other ones. If that's the case, then I would do 2 different bullet points if you have different levels of skills. Yeah, good questions though. Oh my goodness. Okay, I could teach a whole course on this, but I'll try to be quick. So then you have an experience section that's very similar. So here you say this, what you actually were. So a barista and a manager in an on-campus cafe. Then you say where and when, and then you say exactly what you did. So this person's saying operated complex coffee making equipment, diagnosed malfunctions, and fixed them. So you're seeing how even though they were in a coffee shop, which is not an engineering job, they showed how some of the things they did there were kind of like engineering because they were diagnosing and fixing problems related to the coffee shop. So for you too, if you have a job that wasn't exactly math related, you can still show any aspect of it that might have been math related. And if it's really not at all, if you can't find any aspects related, then at least focus on the communication and teamwork that you did there. And then at the end, you can put a section about awards and certificates, but that's optional. That's completely up to you. You don't have to have it, but most of you probably do have a few awards that you want to mention, like from math competitions or something, and then you can put that in awards and certificates. All right. Okay, yes, no, that's great, Charlotte. I really appreciate these questions. Everyone else is probably saying thank you to you because you're thinking of the questions they should be asking. So the question is, do I have to show my education on the resume? Yes, you must show your education. Later in university, you don't have to show the high school part because you will have built a lot of detail from your university. But you do absolutely always have to show the education piece, especially because you are at University of Waterloo and you're doing math, or for some of you, engineering. Those are so impressive that you really want to put that on. I can't think of any reason not to. Allison, what would you say for that question?
100%, yes.
Okay.
You've gotta include it. Yeah, it is very important. And
Yeah.
especially because the University of Waterloo has so many connections throughout North America and globally. Just having the fact that you have attended the university looks really good and employers really like to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Very good point. Yes, so always you have to have an education section. It doesn't have to be in the order that I showed here. You could put experience first and then education. Different people do it differently. I usually put my education near the top just quickly. Again, because I like to highlight where I got my, if I think it's impressive, then I put it there. And for you, as we just said, it is impressive that you're at the university. And especially if it's for co-op, then it's obviously related to the university too. So yeah. And then your question, you say, if I apply for co-op, should I show my high school? Yes, for your first co-op position. So in year one, 1B, and probably your second co-op too, I would keep your high school. And then once you're in like year 2, 3, 4, then you can ask the Career Center. They'll tell you kind of when to take that out. But at least at the beginning, you do want to have that in. Allison, what's your experience? When, if at all, did you remove it during your university career?
Yeah, I think I removed it around my second or going into my third, because I didn't have co-op, so I didn't have kind of that to go off of. But once I had enough working and volunteer experience that I needed the space, I took it off.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Yeah, so definitely first year, keep it in for sure. And then after that, as Allison said, you'll start to have more university experience to list, and then you can start taking it out. But right now, some of your relevant courses will be high school based because you don't have a lot of courses, or almost any, except for your math course right now, or your physics course for Serena. Yeah, so then you do want to list things from high school for sure, because they're relevant. Should you put relevant courses as well? Yes. It doesn't have to be long, like you see here, it's just 2 lines. And they don't have to be from high school. If once you have courses like in a year, once you have a lot of relevant courses from the university, then you don't have to put relevant courses from high school. So put them for now when you're first getting started. And then as you have more relevant ones at university, then you can take out the relevant courses from high school and put the relevant ones from university. Yeah. Good questions. Excellent. This is really good. Okay. I am running out of time because I need to let Allison give her brilliant ideas. So just a quick reminder that the reason for 1 or 2 pages is that employers read very quickly, and they likely only read half a page before they decide if they're interested. We're going to skip that because I don't have much time. One tip is make sure before you apply that you look at the job description. So make sure you know what you're applying for, and then you select keywords in that job description and use those in the resume. So let me show you what I mean. Here, this is, oh, sorry. Sorry, by the way, there's a dog that's barking. I hope you guys can still hear me. This is an example of a piece that comes from a Toyota engineering job description. And I have highlighted these things. So you should go through your own job descriptions and highlight the keywords that you think are most important. So here I said problem-solving activities, and notice how that sample had something about problem solving. Manufacturing, safety, quality, product challenges. Then here, there's even more. So analytical and problem-solving skills, you saw that term, and then you saw it on the resume I just showed you, right? Mathematical aptitude. If you were applying for this, you could show that through your calculus course or other things that show your mathematical aptitude. Then there's a lot of things that aren't technical, but that are equally important. Communication skills, ability to explain complex concepts, flexibility, self-motivation, team mindset, organizational skills, dedication. And then languages, that's not as important, but they say it's an asset. If you see something that's an asset on a description, that means they hope you have it, but it's not required. I went through and I did this. I specifically selected keywords. You should do this too, because then you're going to use that in your application. I don't have time actually to ask you guys this, so I'm just going to tell you the answer. The reason that you need to use that is it shows you understand the requirements for the job, and then also that your skills meet those requirements. So first, it shows you took the time to figure out what is this job about, and second, that you can actually connect your skills to the skills that they need. If you're just sending a random resume, maybe you say, I am a great leader, but they never asked you to be a leader in that job, then you won't match. It's still nice that you're a leader, but it doesn't match what they want for that job. So you need to choose which skills to include and which experience based on that job and what they want from you. So it's like a matching thing. You're trying to get the best match you can. Another thing that you need to know is if you're applying to large companies, so in engineering, a lot of engineers apply to like Google and stuff like that. In math, a lot of you will apply to big insurance companies, stuff like that. You may not, your resume may not actually go to a person. It might go to a computer system, an AI system, that will sort the applications before a person even sees it. And that AI system will be looking for the keywords. And if you didn't even read the job description or you didn't put in those keywords into your resume, then they'll say, oh, this person's not a good match. They'll throw it out before a person even sees it. Or even if a person does see it, they'll still look for the keywords quickly. And if they're not there, they'll say, nope, you're not a good fit. So make sure to match your resume to what the job requires. Okay. Just briefly, I'm going to go over cover letters for like a couple minutes. If other people have more questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Okay. Oh, thanks, Allison. I just saw your message. Thank you. Okay. Let me see. You know what? If more people have a lot of questions, I'm going to stick around at the end and I'm happy to answer them. But let me just quickly, I do see you have one more question, Charlotte, and I'll definitely answer that at the end. But quickly, let's just look at cover letters. So, brief poll. Sorry, let me see if I can launch this poll again. Relaunch poll, there we go. Okay, do you know what a cover letter is? Yes or no? Okay, we've got almost everyone here. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so we have about half-half. Some people say yes, some people say no. A lot of people say no. That's totally fine. So I'm going to show you briefly. So a cover letter is the very first document that your employer sees in most cases. It's where you introduce yourself. You want to show some enthusiasm for the job to show I'm excited about this job. And it's only 1 page long. As I said, the resume can be 1 or 2, but the cover letter, only 1. Do not ever go more than 1 on your cover letter. And some people do, but it's not a good practice. The employers will not read it. So you want a short opening paragraph, about 2 middle paragraphs, and then a short closing paragraph. That's a general guideline. Not always exactly that amount, but that's a general guideline. In this cover letter, you choose information from your resume and talk about it in a bit more depth. So the resume has a broad range of your experience. The cover letter goes into more depth on just the most important or most interesting experiences. It's like a bit of a chance to tell a little story about a bit of what you've done on your resume. So it's connected. You definitely are repeating information, but you're giving a little bit more in-depth detail on the cover letter. Let me see if I have this sample here. No, I don't. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly switch my screen share and show you what a cover letter sample looks like, just for 1 minute. Okay. So you can ignore these comments, those should not be in there. But basically, again, this is not a real person. I changed the names and stuff, but it is a real cover letter actually. So this is the fake name, but Bill Jones, and then an address, a phone number, and the email address, and then the date. Sometimes they also put the address of the employer, depends what you're required to do. But basically, it's addresses at the beginning, then a clear salutation using usually Mr. or Ms. or Doctor or something like that, and the last name. And then you want to say what you're applying for, why you're interested in it, like say something about you being good for this job, but be specific. And then in each of the middle paragraphs, you focus on one of your great strengths and give a little bit of a story of how you developed it. And then you have a short closing paragraph, and then you finish with a very nice formal, sincerely, and then your full name. So I don't have time to go through the details of this, but if anybody has questions later on, this is actually an example for somebody who was a pilot who was applying for a job. And so, as you can see, I'm using different areas: engineering, aviation. But yeah, this letter is a chance to show some interesting things about the applicant that will hopefully make the reader want to read the resume. Okay. So I think that's all I had. I will, at the end, I will be sending you some samples, or actually I'll put them in the chat just in a moment as Allison's starting, so that you can, or actually I'll make them templates. So they're things that you can fill in on your own and use the same format. And if you ever have questions between now and the end of term, if you want to practice, if you want to come and ask for my tips, even if you're not in my class, feel free. I'm happy to look at your resume and tell you if you're on the right track. Yeah, very happy to do that. All right. Sorry, Allison. That took a long time.
At all. Thank you so much. No, that was awesome. So just to give Bethany a bit of a break, I'm going to talk about just some of the ways that you can get some more Canadian experience and why it's important for when you're especially like looking for what's it called, co-op jobs, or if you're applying to part-time jobs in Canada as well. So, okay, yeah, just a quick thumbs up from anyone who, if you can see the screen. Perfect. Awesome. So, of course, one of the main ways that you'll be able to look for jobs is Waterloo Works. You might have heard of it already, but if you are going into a co-op stream, or even if you just are looking for jobs, I didn't realize until literally this year that Waterloo Works is available to all students and alumni in the University of Waterloo. So you just log on to Waterloo Works, you use your same login that you use for Learn or Request, and it connects you with a lot of jobs that are available with some of the University of Waterloo's partners. And it also connects students with the Center for Career Action workshops. So they do a lot of workshops like this on resume writing or cover letter writing and interview skills. So it's definitely a really great thing to check out, whether you are currently in co-op, going into co-op, or you're just thinking about jobs in general. So definitely take some time to work through that. Another great way to, I'm so sorry about my voice. Okay. Another great way to gain experience is, of course, through volunteering. So I'm not sure how many of you went to school in Ontario, but a lot of high school students, like anyone from Ontario, had to get 40 hours of volunteer experience throughout their high school in order to graduate. So we've already been working on our resume and everything and building those skills for quite some time. So it is really good to get some extra volunteer experience in as you're making your resume as well. So some things that you can do is volunteer as an orientation week leader, volunteer as a club leader if there's something that you're really interested in and you want to get involved with on campus. Some of you might have done base rep already, and that was a really great way to gain some skills and work on your, or add to your volunteer experience as well. When move-in day comes around in the fall, that's a great time to volunteer and come out. You can be a campus tour guide or a faculty tour guide as well, or even just like a hospital volunteer volunteering somewhere within the community. So these are all really great ways to gain some experience while you're working as well. How can you be a hospital volunteer? So at the hospitals, and I'll kind of go through different platforms that post volunteer and job opportunities as well in a minute. But if you go to like any of the hospital websites, they should have a volunteer with us section on their website, and you can apply to volunteer there. These are also available through any sort of community center or most places around the Waterloo community. Yeah, great question, Charlotte. Thank you. Another really important aspect to keep in mind is that having Canadian references is super important when you're applying to jobs. So typically at the end of a resume, you might have just one quick sentence saying references available upon request. And most jobs will require you to have 2 or 3 references after they interview you, just to follow up with to make sure that someone else has already worked with you and hear a lot more about the great things that you have done. So making Canadian references is really important just so that they are easily accessible. They're people who know you personally and have worked with you one-on-one, and they speak fluent English, which just helps Canadian employers to really help connect with them and get to know them and you a little bit better. So these references might be your instructors, your base instructors might be able to volunteer as them, managers or supervisors from both paid positions or volunteer positions. If you did base rep, then you could always ask Alex or Cece if they would mind being a reference for you. Just someone who has worked closely with you and probably has worked as your supervisor or manager. So someone just above you in your job or your position. Those are really great and they're good to have just throughout life in general. So they'll be really great for helping you to network and gain those connections as well. So like Charlotte was asking, where can you find job or volunteer postings while you're studying? So aside from Waterloo Works, which is of course a really great resource, another one you can turn to is LinkedIn. So hopefully most of you have heard of linkedin.com. If you don't have an account yet, definitely think about getting one. If you ever want help signing up for that, I am more than happy to give you a hand with it as well. So you can upload your resume and your experiences, as well as your education background, some hobbies and interests that you have, anything like that. And you can find different jobs in your field or even part-time work all on the same platform. And the way that when LinkedIn works, it will also just give you different suggested job searches that are related to what you're interested in, exactly what you're looking for. You can search by different salaries or different time frames of a job. So these are really helpful. And you can form your network of connections in Canada and across the globe. So if you have your references, you might want to connect with them on LinkedIn, as well as other coworkers, classmates, or people you volunteered with. Those are really great connections to have, and employers will look at kind of who you know through that platform. Indeed is another one. It's a little bit similar to LinkedIn, but you don't have your specific profile. So on Indeed, it's a job posting board that a lot of people in Canada will use. So sometimes they also have community volunteer opportunities posted. So sometimes I'll look through and see different ones for different community centers and things across Waterloo. It's really great for finding part-time jobs while you're studying. So you can see the first one here in the picture is a seasonal cashier at Sephora. You'll hear this seasonal job phrase a lot as well, especially coming up in the next month. So those are jobs that are really good because they don't require you to have too much experience, and it allows you to actually gain a little bit of experience in a short period of time. So keep an eye out for those as well, especially if you don't really have plans for Christmas. But yeah, so with Indeed, you can also upload your resume and have jobs sent directly to your email that the website thinks you would be suitable for based on previous job searches and your resume qualifications. Another one is the WUSA Get Involved. So the Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association, they post a lot of different jobs and volunteer opportunities both on campus and in the Waterloo community as well. So these are going to be things like your orientation week leaders, different clubs, different societies around campus, any faculty positions that open up. So this is a really great one to kind of keep on your radar and keep in your mind when you're thinking about doing different volunteer opportunities or gaining that experience, especially if you're living on campus or you want to stay very involved with the Waterloo community. And finally, the student leadership program. Some of you might have gone to some of these workshops already, but if you want to gain a little more experience, but don't really have the time to volunteer or to get that part-time job, this is really great because it teaches you a lot of the skills that you'll need to put on your resumes later on. So all of those keywords that Bethany was talking about, there are leadership workshops to help you develop those skills outside of a job and in just like a nice, safe environment. So with the student leadership program, it's a free series of 6 workshops. They put them on every term. If you get 6 workshops done, then you do get a student leadership program certificate, which is really cool. And you can kind of promote that on your LinkedIn and on your resume as well. And it can be used to just highlight some of your skills and allow you to practice those skills in a really safe environment. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had there. If anyone has any questions about any of the platforms or gaining Canadian experience, feel free to ask, or anything else about resumes or cover letters. I know Bethany kind of zoomed through it a little bit. We both did here, but she did a really great job at highlighting most of what you need for it. So, and I see she's sending the templates in the chat as well. So make sure you download those.
Yeah, thank you so much, Allison. That's so helpful just to hear your perspective and all those useful boards and yeah, all of that. So what I recommend, we still have 5 minutes. I recommend that you take the next 2 or 3 minutes to open the 2 documents I just sent in the chat. So make sure that you kind of understand how they work. If you have questions about them, let us know. And then maybe also try looking up one of the resources that Allison just mentioned. So maybe see if you want to look up indeed.com to see what it looks like, so that you actually get started. Even if you're not searching for a job now, you could still just kind of see what's on there, see how it works, so that when you are, then you already have a bit of an idea. Yeah, so just take a minute to open those. I am going to ask you on a poll in a minute if you were able to open both of the things I sent. So just take a minute, open it, see if you have any questions. Then I'll launch the poll in just a second. Yes. There will be, I believe, a recording provided, right, Allison?
Yeah, so I will post this on Learn tomorrow, and I'll send a message just in all of the group chats once it's posted and let you know.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. You're right, Julian. I agree completely. We just threw so much information at you. For those who will be here, I see at least one engineering student here today. If you're here in the winter, we actually have a long part of the course. The 44 course is about resumes and cover letters. So I'll be saying this again, but for some of you, I won't see you again. So that's why we do this. Thank you to Allison too for sharing this. But as I said, even though you don't have it in your official course, if you do want feedback, some of you here are in my course anyway, so you're welcome to just ask me in my office hours or in the breaks from class if you have questions about yours. And if you're not in my class, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email here, and I'll put it on the PowerPoint slide too that Allison will send out. So it's just bethany.dixon@uwaterloo.ca, and you're more than welcome to email me and we can set up a call to discuss your resume if you want. I love resumes and cover letters. I think it's really interesting to see what people do with them and how you make it work. And And in separate experience from my job, I've also been somebody in hiring. So I've also read people's applications as they've come in, and I've selected people based on their applications. So I have that experience as well as teaching it. So I'm happy to look it over and tell you kind of whether you're on the right track or not. Yeah, so that's Julian's question. And then Charlotte also had a question earlier that might be useful to other people. If you have a unique award that really sets you apart, like you were the highest in a certain class or competition or something, should you do that one, or should you do one that's more relevant to your job? I would say try to fit in both if you can, because any impressive awards are really great. And especially at the beginning, it's okay if your resume is more than a page. So feel free to put in both. Of course, if you have like 5 or 10 awards, you don't need all of them. That's really unnecessary. But yeah, so to pick maybe your best 2, maybe 3, not more than 3, I don't think. And yeah, it's up to you. I think maybe your judgment, if I wouldn't put in more than one that's not related to the job. Yeah, so maybe one that's not related, but it's very impressive, but most of them should be somehow related to the job. Yeah, good question. Excellent. All right. So hopefully that answered your question. Yeah, Charlotte, I think that would depend. So maybe, again, that's a good one where you could show me your resume once you have it drafted, and I could kind of give you case by case feedback. But yeah, I would say mostly just try to make it about the job. But if it's a general one, like highest score, that still shows that you are able to work hard and get good grades and stuff. So that is actually relevant in a lot of ways to the job. So as long as it has some relevance, then yeah, for sure, you can put it in. Okay. So I see we're at 11, and I did promise I would poll just to see if people were able to access. So let me just do that really quickly. So I'm going to relaunch this poll one more time. Could you just give me a yes in the poll if you were able to access those documents that I sent? Oh, good. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. That is good news. Okay, almost everyone. Oh, good. Excellent. Nice. Okay. I don't even know how many people we have on here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I got almost everyone answering that. So that's great. Good. Well, I would have definitely loved to show you how to use those templates. Basically, in that template, just go in and delete what the template says and put your own. So where it says student name, you just write your name, your full name. And if you want to be called by another name than your legal name, you can put that in the middle in brackets. So like, let's say I want to be called Beth, which I don't call me Beth. But let's say I do. So I would put my name, Bethany, and then in brackets, Beth, to say that is my nickname, and then my last name. So that's a convention for showing names that are other than your legal name, but that you want to be called. So you can put that in brackets in the middle. Or if you just always go by your English name, you could put that and then your last name. So it's up to you. But yeah, I'm very happy to help you, meet with you, give you feedback if you ever want in the rest of this term. And yeah, happy job searching. Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bethany.
Thank you, Allison.
Also to everyone, like if you are not here or like in base next term, but you do see that we have another resume or cover letter workshop or LinkedIn workshops or anything in the future, feel free to come to them. Like you are more than welcome to keep coming back to any of the workshops that you see available. So remember that like you are still supported after base with all of us. So that's not going away, and you can always bring back your resumes and cover letters, and we will be more than happy to help you out and read through them and help you edit them anytime.
Yes, and something I forgot, I'm not sure if you mentioned it and I missed it. Did you mention the Career Center at all?
Barely.
Okay, so yeah, Allison briefly mentioned this, but while we are offering things for next term, the best source for you next term after you're in base is to use the Career Center on campus. So of course, yeah, you're welcome to come back and see us, but at that point, once you're on campus, it's definitely a good idea to go to the Career Center, which is on the other side of campus near Dana Porter Library. And there you can set up appointments. They can help you with anything, resume, cover letter. They can do practice interviews too, because interviewing is a really important skill as well in the job process. So they can help you with all of that. And that's available to every University of Waterloo student. Yeah, you can access that. If you just search Career Center University of Waterloo, it will bring you to that. And we can probably put a link up as well when we post our slides for that.
So I just sent the link in the chat as well if you want to take a look at it, anyone. But yeah, does anyone have any kind of like final questions for the last, we'll wait maybe one more minute and see.
I do recommend, as you're thinking, click on that link that Allison sent and just open it and then favorite it, because you will be able to use that for anybody looking for a job. The Career Center is going to be very important, especially if it's co-op, but even if it's not co-op, they can still support you. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, thanks, Julian, for your message there. And I know we are past time, so we can let you guys go. Some of you stayed up very late for this. And some of you still have your whole afternoon ahead. Wonderful. Bye, Serena. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye, everyone. Thank you again, Bethany, for hosting this. This has been awesome and super helpful for everyone.
Thank you. That's so helpful to have all the like, how do I actually find the jobs once I have a resume? Thank you, Charlotte. Have a great night as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Anne. You too. Bye, Tracy.